Alright, howdy. Trying to get this so it's not so zoomed in so you can actually see the full spectrum of what I'm looking at here. So hopefully you can see the full chart. You can see the up, the middle, and the lower. And when I'm flying around here, you can still have the same general perspective that I'm having here. So what we got here is the AMT, the American, well, American Tower Corp. So we can say, let's get this viewed out in a big long-term time frame. So we can see this sucker's been pretty good. Things been pretty good on a monthly sense. Not since the great crash of 2001 did it have that huge dump. I mean, we could say from the all-time highs right there. Now this is just gonna be a complete jerk, but you can see how much. 98%. Wow. What a drop. What a crash. But from the low there, 40,000% up. Wow. That's over quite the time too, 20 years. So that would have been a good thing to buy down at the bottom, right? But now we can look at this in the time frame that we're going to be interpreting it. So we could draw, let's say, one of these parallel channels as well. A larger one. Let's get this down a little bit. Come on, you bugger. It's rough. I mean, the wicks, I got most of it. Some wicks are going out of it, but you could say that's a pretty good long-term channel there. And I also have a small one drawed right here, just because the month time frame is more for years to years. But yeah, so you can say since 2001 we've had mostly up. I mean, in 2009 here we also have a drop, and the days are not going to be right because it's getting in the way, but we got a 60% drop right there too. So what are some of the signs that it's time to get out of this? In general, it seems like it's respecting this red trend line quite well. So when it breaks the trend line, it goes to the downside, and when it breaks up, it seems to hold it quite good. I mean, we have a little bit of a decrease here, so this is where you could get faked out and miss out on some profit there, but if you bought here, it wouldn't have been a horrible time to sell. I mean, and you can always get back in once it crosses this line and then kind of ride it up and just use that as a safety net. Also, we got this long-term trend line here, so anytime that we start dipping below here, it's either a great opportunity to buy, again, add to your position when you know that it has quite the sustained upward rally. Let's get this out of the way. You can see that overall, I mean, the momentum has been in the positive for quite some time. I mean, there hasn't been, not since 2009 have we even reached the downside. I mean, we got one bar here, 1 month negative, but yeah, wow, this thing is not going down for any particular reason. But also, we have to realize that what goes up has to come down in some sense, right? So this chart, I mean, I'm not sure its inception, but that drop right there, it's probably because it still is newer. But yeah, the way the curve, the severity of the curve dictates the volatility of the move. So where we have deeper declines, typically there's more decline in price. I mean, this isn't always true, but that's something to keep in mind in general. So right here, right since 2009, or we even can go lower since 2001 or 2, we've been steadily moving up. We've been moving up like a wave, gaining momentum up, up, and up, and up, and up, and up, to where our all-time previous highs are right here at 12 in a MACD sense. Now, they're about 25. I mean, you could say that they're starting to kind of curve flatten. So you can see when it flattens, there might be a little bit of a sideways action, and if it chooses to do so, it'll continue up. So the thing is that this is starting to get in an overextended buying zone. So yeah, I wouldn't be crazy to see a little bit of a pullback from the all-time highs, especially with looking at how big this momentum is. Same with here, like this momentum is at all-time high. I mean, it just can't go up forever, so it has to usually pull back and regain steam before it can push onward. So looking at these, whenever you see like a stop in the momentum, it's it's not the best. But right here, we're kind of flattening out too, so there's no real side. So let's look at this in a shorter time frame. In a weekly sense, we can see we've already kind of hit some of these pinnacles here, kind of coincidentally right around there, and then we have our little drop off to the downside, but we have also got that momentum up, so now it's kind of ticking down as well. Same thing here, we actually, on a weekly sense, you can see that there is some downs, right? On the monthly, it just looks like it's all upward action, but here, you can see the measures down. Like they're decent little moves. I mean, doesn't look big, but it's 20%. Right here, that decline right there, what's that? From the high to the low, 17%. I deleted that thing, but it's okay. So yeah, you don't necessarily want to have to ride each one of those, and sometimes it goes up and trickles, and when it comes down, it kind of bounces down. It's not just straight down, sometimes it just bounces. All the same, it's pretty tough to acknowledge, but these lines here, I've set a couple stop losses, so we could say, right here, previous resistance becomes support. So this line right here, let's say 233.40, might be a good little price to set a stop loss with this one, because it could just continue up, and you could see where if you had a stop loss around here the whole time, it just creates that safety net. So when it hits right here, it would have sold you out, which then you could be upset if you didn't ride that next wave. But once it crosses right here, you could say I'm back in. So if you buy and sell on these points, I mean, they're kind of good. And just with the overall loom, and just knowing that, hey, momentum here in a monthly standpoint is at its all-time high, so there hasn't been a bigger top to sell at ever in the whole history of this whole stock. So you can never be mad at selling at this point. Now it's just a matter, it will continually trickle up. I mean, the risk to reward is getting higher and higher the higher you are up into these aspects. I mean, there's nowhere left to go up. You're already at the top, so you could still inch ahead and still pushing up, but this is kind of stuff that maybe you just want to sell. I mean, at least set a stop loss so that you don't lose a whole bunch, like 60-70%. I don't know how much your holdings are in here, but you could really respect these lines. I mean, once you fall out of these channels, it's just kind of a nightmare. So the tighter you set the channel, I mean, the easier you can get in, and the less you're going to minimize your losses. But even if you just draw like one right here and right there, I mean, it can kind of continue on. You can see that this channel's been going upward and onward. You can kind of see how they serve as just like guiding points. So yeah, this is more of the short term. Let's look in jump right from the month to the daily. So maybe just stop at the weekly here to look at this. So the weekly sense, we're still gaining upward momentum. I mean, but it's definitely kind of stopped a little bit. Same with here. It's obviously a point down. So these points can be, well, look at, it's right at the wick, right at the high wick here. It says no. That's the bears say no, we're not going up anymore. So right here, it's kind of the same thing. Nope, we're having a fight. So in the next few weeks, if this starts coming down again, you can assume that this will start coming down. And do you really want to, follow, like, say, that dip down here? So you could have had the same scare right here, where it comes down and then it keeps going up. It comes down and keeps, but now you can see it's starting to lose that momentum. On this daily sense, yeah, you can see that it was holding it from about December. It kind of challenged it, and then it just kind of broke down. Um, Before, you can see these lines aren't as well respected anymore. You can see it's kind of stopping at that line right here. Let's say 235. So, I mean, you could say that, hey, I'm going to be really tight with this position, and I'm going to sell anywhere in here. I don't want to let it drop below this white, and because when it drops below the white, we could be seeing, decent little pullbacks. Now it could just bounce right back, but looking at some of these broader things, I mean, it's not, it's all time high. So more and more, like this, it keeps on adding up. So why do I have this right here? I mean, this is because when we're doing that TD stock bank analysis, basically that same parallel channel, TD is right here. It just dropped below. So you could say this is a couple different things. I mean, it's a good opportunity to buy again, because right here, I mean, this would be a great place to buy when you're looking at some of these gains of 64%. I mean, great time to buy, right? Great time to buy. So when we're looking at these channels and we have these dips, there's a lot of opportunity. So you got to be greedy when others are fearful. So when it's all down and people are depressed, it's time to capitalize on these gains. It's easy to say, hard to do. So I'm just going to draw this a little bit with a little bit more respect here. And yeah, you can see that it's not too far below, and that this one might have been a little bit too broad, too much. So you could say we could set a tight stop loss. We see we got that support right here as well. Anytime it crosses this white line, it seems to be either a good move or a little correction. So right in here, we are moving to the downside. So I'd probably want to, if I was you guys, I'd probably set some stop losses with this one. And how much more do you think this is going to pay dividends? I'm not sure if this has like a payback or what, but in terms of sheer potential, I mean, this one might be at the end of its steam. But at the same time, it might get a bounce here and just keep on trickling up. I mean, but you're looking at, percent. It's not going to be much gain. It's not going to just be like, oh, this is going to shoot out and blow up another 100%. I mean, how? How? Every time it comes down, you can see it's at least coming down. It's coming down. Like when it actually falls down, it comes down. So we're looking at least a few days until it starts getting to this point. So you could just assume, it's pretty easy to assume this thing is going to be coming down a little bit more. And now it's a matter of like, well, how far is it going to go down? Is it going to go down to, let's say, 211 and then continue onward? Is this all just fear and uncertainty and doubt that what they do is they just make people scared and they sell and then they buy and everyone loses money and the rich get richer. So you could say that over here. You could always say that these are just higher lows too. I mean, if you're talking like just digging in your heels and holding on for dear life, I mean, even those people are going to have to get a little bit fearful once we start hitting these kind of levels here. And I mean, around that 200, I mean, all of a sudden we might have a complete reversal of the trend. So for me, I wouldn't want to lose the $30 and say here, let's sell here now. Just looking at some of those, I think the biggest thing is the monthly momentum and seeing how it's so high. It's just kind of ridiculous to see that. Let me just, why don't we pull up the Bitcoin chart just to give you a little bit of an idea. And look what happened right here. Look how this momentum was so high on the monthly chart. At where? 2017. Where did it have to go? Nowhere but down. Nowhere but down. Look how much got lost. 80-90% of that value. I mean, now you can look down here and say, well, look at, you could have bought at 3,000, rode up to 15. Yes, yes, yes. And what's it doing now? Is it going to just have this wave appearance? This is why it's dangerous, is to jump in and throw all your money in one particular time, but that's where the dollar cost average is so beneficial for most people. where the heck is that? Paintbrush. So this paintbrush here, you can say here, is it just gonna kind of have this? Is it gonna trickle down again? Right? Are we gonna just have a little bit more of a trickle? It's tough to say. It's tough to say. I mean, with Bitcoin here, that is. I mean, we could easily form a little another loop here, and then start breaking upwards, right, into this next cycle, and then that's probably something of how it could go. So you can probably get a gist of how these indicators can give you bigger indications of what the market's going to do. And now we look at this weekly time frame, you can see these a little bit more. Like you could say, oh yeah, should have sold here. Could have sold right here. Could have bought here. Could have bought right here. And these lines work a lot better on these longer time frames. When you get into the day, it's just so up and down. It's just cross, 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 you know, sell, crawl, cross. I mean, but at the same sense, this Bitcoin it's keeping this downward channel. So for here, I mean, we're in this triangle right there. You can see there's a triangle coming up with support, and we got this downward pressure. So we could accumulate in here as, guess what, the volume, it's not necessarily decreasing completely, but it'll jump around here and either decide to go boop, go down, or boop, go up. Anyway, it's the next one, AMT. I'd say the party's almost over. I mean, there's not much more to be won from AMT. There's more potential in other things. I mean, where is there potential? I mean, let's go to this monthly here just to refresh on the TD. You can see, yeah, look at this. It was at its all-time darn high. Monthly chart up here. Now we just shot right down. We're breaking this darn support. But you never know. Like, I mean, this is a tailor-made stock, so we could just find some type of support here soon, so I'm not giving up hope. Even from this morning, we've had a little bit of a pullback here. It's not going to go straight down. But what I wanted to really look at, let's say something like silver. Now, you could see where we're not right here. We're not right here. Those other stocks are right here. Look at this stuff. Look at that downward stuff. Look at where we are now. We're on the uptrend. We're going up. It's time to restart the market. So this is where I've been buying in with this stuff, and we're not even at the all-time highs, right? So these look like great investments. Gold and silver right now. I mean, look at here as well. Look at up here. Look at this. We're going up. There's still room to move. I mean, hey, we can trickle back down, but you can see how these momentum-wise have a lot more potential. I mean, gold's been shooting up. Same thing with silver here. There's potential with the momentum. Anyway, you can see where I've been putting more long-term investment into these on a monthly sense, because in the sense of years to come, these look like the places to be. And, well, TD, just such a historically beautiful looking chart, just like the AMT there, so these are not bad things to be in, especially if you're just holding on for decades at a time. But realistically, you don't have to hold it through 50% drops. You can make so much money there. I mean, just keep this respectful line. You can always rebuy in. It's $10 to buy and sell. So when you have more and more money, like, why not, right? These should be some other things we should be really paying more attention to. So if you did sell, you could always wait until what? Well, it loops back up and starts shooting up, right? Anyway, we'll call that around for now. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.